The San Diego evening was still warm as Eliza Bennett stood at the doorstep of her childhood home, finger hovering over the doorbell. My heart is pounding like I'm 16 again, she thought, taking a deep breath to steady herself. It had been 5 years since she'd returned, and the prospect of being here for her mother's 60th birthday celebrations filled her with a strange mixture of nostalgia and dread. Eliza, you made it. Her mother Diane's voice carried more tension than warmth. Despite being 58 now, her perfectly styled hair and impeccable makeup remained unchanged, appearance always her priority. It's been a while, Mom. Eliza felt her body stiffen as they embraced, the physical contact highlighting the emotional distance between them. Diane quickly retreated from the entrance, leading Eliza to the living room. The interior had barely changed since her father Gerald passed away 3 years ago. His worn leather armchair still commanded its place by the television, as if waiting for his return. Where's Vanessa? Eliza asked, glancing around for her younger sister. Shopping for the party. She should be back soon, Diane replied curtly, her eyes carefully avoiding Eliza's. How's life in Boston? Is Connor managing all right? We're both fine. My design firm is taking off. I've been commissioned for several major corporate spaces recently. Eliza watched her mother's face, noting the tepid nod that acknowledged but didn't celebrate her success. Diane abruptly stood up to make coffee, her back radiating tension as she hurried toward the kitchen. The stiff set of her shoulders suggested a woman carrying secrets. 5 years earlier, when Eliza decided to move to Boston for her career, her family relationship had fractured. Her father Gerald had been particularly upset, demanding, "How could you choose your work over being close to family?" Even at her father's funeral, she'd stayed only 1 day before returning to work. This time she'd taken several days off, hoping to mend the fraying threads of family connection. When Diane returned with coffee, her eyes fixed on Eliza's wedding ring. Having troubles with Connor? She asked abruptly. No, nothing unusual. Eliza tilted her head, confused. Why would you ask that? No reason. Diane changed subjects with suspicious haste. I've kept your room just as it was. Why don't you take your luggage up? Upstairs, Eliza pushed open her bedroom door to find her teenage accomplishments frozen in time, design awards and sketches still adorning the walls. She placed her bag on the bed and gazed out at the backyard, where the oak tree she had planted with her father had grown impressively tall. Sis. Turning, she saw Vanessa in the doorway. At 28, her sister had cultivated the perfect social media presence as an influencer, her petite frame and carefully styled appearance capturing the same warm brown eyes and soft curly hair they shared. Vanessa. Their embrace felt warm, but Eliza couldn't miss the uneasiness in her sister's eyes. Sorry about being out, just last-minute party shopping. Wasn't sure when you'd get here, Vanessa's voice carried a nervous edge. Don't worry. What's new with you? Any exciting developments? Eliza searched her sister's face. Vanessa hesitated noticeably. Nothing special. Same old life. Eliza sensed the falseness in her sister's awkward smile but chose not to probe. Together they descended to help with dinner preparations, the evening conversation skimming safely across weather patterns and neighborhood changes. Yet beneath this superficial exchange, Eliza felt an unmistakable undercurrent of tension, as if her entire family was collectively holding their breath. That night, while Diane was taking a bath, Eliza entered her mother's room to drop off some birthday decorations she'd brought from Boston. On the bedside table sat her father's photograph alongside neatly arranged medication bottles. As she placed the package down, her elbow caught a file folder, sending papers cascading across the hardwood floor. Damn it, Eliza muttered, her stomach tightening with guilt as she knelt to gather the scattered contents. Her fingers froze on a glossy booklet labeled Wedding Planner and a brochure for the luxurious Ocean View Resort. Flipping through the pages, her blood ran cold when she spotted Vanessa Bennett alongside a date just 2 weeks away. My sister is getting married? The realization hit her like a physical blow. Why am I the only one not told? Her chest constricted with hurt as questions multiplied in her mind. Eliza. What are you doing? She turned to find Diane standing in the doorway, hair wrapped in a towel, face flushed with more than just the heat of her bath. Her mother's expression was a volatile mixture of anger and unmistakable fear. Vanessa is getting married? Eliza's voice cracked. Why would you keep this from me? Diane snatched the documents from Eliza's trembling hands, shoving them roughly into a drawer. This doesn't concern you, she snapped, eyes glittering with something that looked suspiciously like guilt. Don't even think about coming. What do you mean? Eliza felt as though she'd been slapped. How could my own sister's wedding not concern me? There are circumstances you wouldn't understand. Don't ask anymore. Diane's tone left no room for discussion. We'll talk tomorrow. Go to bed. Back in her room, Eliza stared out at the night sky. The stars shone with cold clarity, but her heart felt shrouded in impenetrable darkness. Eliza's fingers shook as she dialed Connor. After 2 attempts that went straight to voicemail, he finally answered. Eliza. Did you make it to your parents okay? His voice carried an unusual edge of tension. Connor, something unbelievable is happening. Vanessa is getting married in 2 weeks, and nobody bothered to tell me. The words tumbled out, each syllable burning with betrayal. A weighted silence hung between them. That's strange, he finally offered. Mom explicitly told me not to come. Can you believe that? Well, he hesitated, some families have complicated dynamics. Maybe you should respect their wishes. He cleared his throat. By the way, I've got back-to-back meetings for this new client starting tomorrow. Might be hard to reach me. What would you do? She pressed. Should I just accept being excluded from my sister's wedding? If you weren't invited, probably best to stay away, he replied, his advice strikingly different from his usual encouragement to trust your instincts. I see. Good night, then. She ended the call, immediately dialing her Aunt Isabel, who had been her emotional anchor since childhood. Eliza, sweetheart. You're at Diane's? Isabel answered warmly. Aunt Isabel, something horrible is happening. Vanessa is getting married and I've been deliberately kept in the dark. A sharp intake of breath carried clearly through the connection. You knew about this? Eliza demanded. I heard something about it, Isabel admitted reluctantly. Diane mentioned special circumstances, but wouldn't elaborate. What circumstances could possibly justify excluding me? Anger and hurt made her voice quaver. Am I not family anymore? Of course you are, honey. But I don't know the details either. You need to speak directly with Diane. Sleep eluded Eliza that night as she stared at the ceiling, her mind churning with unanswered questions and mounting dread. The next morning, Diane expertly deflected all of Eliza's questions with practiced nonchalance, repeating only, ask Vanessa. Unfortunately, Vanessa had conveniently left at dawn for errands and wouldn't return until evening. My family's hiding something massive, and I'm going to find out what, Eliza resolved, anger burning beneath her calm exterior. She dialed her high school friend Olivia Montgomery, who remained well-connected in San Diego's social circles and close with Vanessa. Olivia, it's been ages. I need to ask you something. Eliza kept her voice casual despite her racing heart. Eliza. You're in town for Vanessa's wedding? Olivia's innocent question hit like a thunderbolt. Actually, I wanted details about that. Could you fill me in? Eliza gripped the phone tighter, struggling to keep her voice steady. Wait, you don't know. Confusion colored Olivia's response. It's 2 weeks from Saturday at the Ocean View Resort, 4 p.m. Garden Terrace. I'm not in the wedding party, but I received an invitation. They make such a gorgeous couple, don't they? Absolutely, Eliza forced herself to sound normal while her stomach twisted into knots. What can you tell me about the groom? You haven't met him? Olivia sounded genuinely shocked. He's some hotshot entrepreneur from Boston. His name is Connor, I believe? Connor Reynolds? The room tilted violently around Eliza. Her wedding ring suddenly felt like it was burning into her flesh. Connor Reynolds, she repeated, her voice barely audible. That's right. Do you know him? Eliza. Hello? Thanks, Olivia. I'll call you later, she managed before ending the call. Eliza sank onto her bed, her mind spinning into darkness. Connor Reynolds, her husband's name. This had to be some horrible coincidence. But if not, his strange behavior last night, those endless business trips, his recent distraction, suddenly it all formed a horrifying pattern. Eliza's hands trembled as she called Connor again. This time she needed confirmation, needed to hear the truth in his voice, but the call went straight to voicemail. Connor, it's me. Call me back immediately. This is important. Her voice sounded foreign to her own ears. With determination cutting through her shock, Eliza headed to Vanessa's room. The door stood partially open, an invitation she couldn't refuse. Guilt prickled her conscience as she slipped inside and began methodically searching her sister's perfectly organized space. Inside the desk's bottom drawer, she discovered a small velvet box. Her heart hammering against her ribs, she opened it to reveal a stunning platinum engagement ring with a massive diamond that caught the light in painful brilliance. With shaking fingers, Eliza tilted the ring to check the interior. There, in elegant script, forever from CR, the room seemed to collapse around her. CR Connor Reynolds. What shattered her completely was recognizing the distinctive setting from a designer collection they'd admired together 3 years ago, when Connor had insisted it was completely out of their price range. The distant sound of the front door opening jolted her back to reality. Eliza quickly replaced the ring and fled to her room, her mind racing with chaotic thoughts. She grabbed her phone and typed, "I know everything. No more lies." Connor's response came immediately, "What are you talking about?" "The wedding with Vanessa." This time, silence. Eliza yanked her suitcase from the closet and began stuffing clothes inside with frantic energy. A soft knock interrupted her, and Vanessa appeared in the doorway. "Sis. What's happening? Are you leaving?" Anxiety tinged her perfectly modulated voice. Eliza turned, her face a mask of composure that belied the storm raging within. "Yes, unexpected work emergency. I need to get back to Boston." "Oh." Vanessa's eyes remained fixed on the floor, unable to meet her sister's gaze. Every cell in Eliza's body screamed to confront her, to demand answers about the betrayal, but she restrained herself. Confirmation first. Then justice. "Don't worry though, I'll be back in 2 weeks." She watched carefully for her sister's reaction. Vanessa's face drained of color. 2 weeks. Right. Is there a reason you're coming back then specifically? Her voice wavered tellingly. "Nothing important," Eliza replied with calculated casualness. "Is there something happening I should know about?" "No, nothing at all." Vanessa's obvious lie hung in the air between them. "I see," Eliza said, a bitter smile playing at her lips. That night, Eliza boarded a flight to Boston, but her mind was already fixed on the Ocean View Resort 2 weeks later. Connor called repeatedly, but she let each call go to voicemail. She needed to witness the truth with her own eyes. And if Connor and Vanessa were truly planning to marry. Her hands clenched involuntarily, knuckles white with determination. She would absolutely be present for their special day. The Ocean View Resort stood as a monument to luxury on San Diego's coastline, its elegant architecture seamlessly blending with the natural beauty of the Pacific. Even through the salt-tinged air, the fragrance of exotic flowers arranged for the wedding celebration drifted across the property. Eliza parked her rental car at the far end of the lot and adjusted her sunglasses. The short blonde wig completely transformed her appearance, concealing her signature long brown curls. Studying her reflection in the rearview mirror, doubt flickered briefly across her face. Is this really necessary? The thought evaporated instantly, replaced by a surge of righteous anger that strengthened her resolve. I've come too far to turn back now, she whispered to herself. Rather than approaching the main entrance, Eliza took a landscape path that curved around to the garden area. Olivia had mentioned the ceremony would be held at the oceanfront terrace. Keeping low behind decorative shrubs, she edged closer to the venue. Rows of white chairs faced an elegant arch adorned with cascading white and blush roses. In mere hours, her sister and husband would stand there, exchanging vows. The sheer absurdity of it all pulled her lips into a bitter smile. Excuse me, this area is restricted to event guests only. The unexpected voice made Eliza startle visibly. Turning, she found herself facing a resort staff member in a crisp uniform, eyebrow raised in suspicion. I'm so sorry, Eliza replied, deliberately altering her voice. I'm here for the Bennett Reynolds wedding. Just looking for the changing area, I'm running late. Your name, please? Olivia Montgomery, Eliza responded without hesitation, borrowing her friend's identity. The staff consulted a tablet and nodded. Ms. Montgomery, yes. The guest preparation area is in the East Wing. Please follow me. Eliza exhaled quietly and followed, her heart pounding against her ribs. Inside the preparation suite, Eliza found several women chattering excitedly as they applied makeup and adjusted dresses. She selected a corner seat, keeping her face angled away while pretending to check her phone. Gradually, the room emptied as guests made their way to the ceremony. Seizing her chance, Eliza slipped into the hallway, searching for an inconspicuous route to the ceremony area. Resort staff hurried past with last-minute preparations. She discovered a perfect vantage point behind an enormous palm and a decorative planter, positioned where the hallway opened to the oceanfront terrace. From this hiding spot, she could observe everything while remaining unseen. Guests began filling the rows of white chairs. Eliza spotted her mother, Diane, in the front row wearing a lavish silver blue gown that probably cost more than Eliza's monthly rent. Her expression showed pride mixed with something darker, more calculating. Aunt Isabel sat nearby, along with numerous relatives from her mother's side. Notably few from her father's family were present. The string quartet began playing softly. Eliza's heart hammered against her ribs as guests rose to their feet. At the altar, a tall figure in a tailored black tuxedo took his position. A strangled gasp escaped her lips. Connor Reynolds, her husband, stood confidently beside the officiant. This can't be real. Though her investigation had prepared her intellectually, seeing the betrayal with her own eyes made her stomach lurch with nausea. Connor's face held a tension she recognized, but there was something else, a glow she'd never seen when he looked at her. The expression of a man truly in love. The wedding march swelled, drawing all eyes to the aisle's entrance. Vanessa appeared, escorted by their Uncle James in their father's absence. Her gown, a designer masterpiece with delicate beading that hugged her slender frame, must have cost thousands. Her carefully styled hair framed a face radiant with happiness beneath the gossamer veil. Eliza's entire body trembled. This nightmare was becoming unbearably tangible. Her sister was marrying her husband before her eyes. Vanessa glided down the aisle with practiced grace to stand beside Connor. The tender look they exchanged as he took her hand made Eliza's chest constrict painfully, the same gesture he'd once offered her. Today we gathered to celebrate the union of Vanessa Bennett and Connor Reynolds, the officiant began. Eliza wanted to block out the words, but she had come to witness every excruciating moment. As the ceremony continued, memories flooded her consciousness, their first meeting at a Boston design exhibition 5 years ago, Connor's proposal overlooking the harbor, their modest wedding ceremony, and the life they'd built while she worked tirelessly to support his entrepreneurial dreams. If anyone has reason why these two should not be joined in matrimony, speak now or forever hold your peace. The garden fell silent. Diane glanced around nervously. Something snapped inside Eliza, the final thread of restraint. She lunged from behind the palm and strode purposefully down the aisle. I object. Her voice rang out with surprising strength. All heads whipped toward her. Blood drained from Connor's face. Vanessa stood frozen, mouth hanging open in shock. That man is my husband. Eliza ripped off her sunglasses and yanked away the blonde wig, releasing her brown waves to fall around her shoulders. Diane's piercing scream cut through the stunned silence as she clutched the chair for support. Eliza. Vanessa's voice emerged as barely a whisper. Eliza advanced down the aisle, rage and hurt fueling each step. Surprise. Thought I'd come celebrate with you all. Connor stood frozen, face ashen. Eliza, what are you doing here? What am I doing? Her bitter laugh echoed across the stunned gathering. I'm preventing my husband from marrying my sister. Seems like an appropriate sisterly duty, wouldn't you say? The terrace erupted in chaos. Guests exchanged horrified glances as murmurs swelled into exclamations of shock. Understanding dawned on their faces as they processed the devastating truth of her words. This isn't what it looks like, Connor pleaded desperately. If you'd just let me explain. Explain? Hysteria edged her laughter. We've been married 5 years, Connor. Which part needs explaining? Vanessa's bouquet tumbled to the ground as she covered her face, shoulders shaking with silent sobs. Diane rose shakily to her feet. Eliza, that's enough. You're making a spectacle of yourself. A spectacle? Eliza turned on her mother, eyes blazing. I'm not the one orchestrating this elaborate deception. You all plotted this betrayal while deliberately excluding me. You've been consumed with work, Connor interjected. Our marriage became nothing but paperwork. Vanessa actually. Don't you dare. Eliza's fury exploded. My dedication to my career doesn't give you permission to sleep with my sister. A profound silence blanketed the terrace. Every eye fixed on the 3 figures at the center of this unfolding tragedy. I can't participate in this charade anymore. Eliza approached Connor, twisting the wedding ring from her finger. Clearly I won't be needing this. She hurled it at his chest, the gold band bouncing off his lapel before tinkling onto the marble floor. Please, Eliza. Vanessa reached toward her sister, tears streaming down her face. Don't. Eliza recoiled. You're not my sister anymore. Both of you, stay out of my life forever. As Eliza turned to leave, a piercing scream cut through the air. Vanessa doubled over, clutching her abdomen, face contorted in agony. It hurts. Something's wrong. Her face drained of color as she crumpled to the ground. Connor rushed to support her while Diane shrieked, pushing through stunned guests. Someone call 911. Diane's voice trembled with panic. Eliza froze mid-stride, turning back to see her sister writhing on the ground, struggling for breath. Despite everything, instinct took over. She rushed to Vanessa's side. "What's happening? Tell me what's wrong." "The baby," Vanessa gasped, face twisted with pain. "I'm pregnant." The words hit Eliza like physical blows. A baby. The betrayal had created new life. The wail of approaching sirens penetrated her shock. Eliza stood motionless amid the chaos, her world shattered into unrecognizable pieces. Yet somehow, in this moment, her sister's well-being eclipsed her own devastation. Was this the power of family bonds, despite everything? "You'll be okay, Vanessa," she found herself saying, gripping her sister's clammy hand. "Help is almost here." Her eyes met Connor's across Vanessa's trembling form. Where once there had been love, now lay a tangle of emotions too complex for words. The sterile waiting room at San Diego Memorial pulsed with unspoken tension. Eliza sat rigid on an uncomfortable chair, staring blankly at the institutional beige wall. Diane perched several seats away, occasionally darting worried glances at her eldest daughter without attempting conversation. Connor had disappeared into Vanessa's room. A doctor in blue scrubs emerged from the corridor, approaching Diane and Eliza with measured steps. "Mrs. Bennett." He addressed Diane. "I'm Dr. Parker." "Yes, that's me. Is my daughter all right?" Anxiety threaded through Diane's voice. "She's stabilized. Fortunately, the baby wasn't harmed in this episode. The symptoms were triggered by acute stress and a dangerous spike in blood pressure. We'll need to keep her overnight for observation and monitoring." Diane's shoulders sagged with relief. "Thank God the baby's safe." "Thank you, doctor." He nodded professionally. "She's asking to see her family." Before following the doctor, Eliza confronted her mother, pain radiating through her carefully controlled expression. "Why, Mom? Why keep me in the dark about all of this?" After a weighted silence, Diana exhaled deeply. "Let's go to the cafeteria. This conversation is long overdue." Seated across from each other, coffee cups steaming between them, Diane finally spoke. "Vanessa and Connor met 6 months ago. During his supposed business trip to California?" Eliza's voice hardened. "Yes," Diane confirmed. "He came to surprise you, but you were away at that design conference in Milan." She fidgeted with her cup. "He and Vanessa met by chance. At first, I thought nothing of it, just friendly conversation. But then, she knew he was my husband." Eliza's words cut like ice. "Connor told her your marriage had become empty, that you were consumed by your career and had no time for him anymore. And that justifies betrayal?" Fury simmered beneath Eliza's controlled tone. "Of course not," Diane conceded, suddenly looking her age. "I tried warning Vanessa, but she insisted you'd abandoned your marriage for work, that Connor deserved better. 3 months ago, she discovered she was pregnant." The revelation knocked the breath from Eliza's lungs. 3 months? She's been pregnant for 3 months? Connor promised to do right by her. Vanessa wanted the baby. Diane pressed her fingers against her temples. "I objected initially, but..." Her voice cracked. "If your father were still alive, I don't believe any of this would have happened." Footsteps approached their table as Connor appeared, his face drawn with exhaustion. "Vanessa's resting now," he informed them flatly. Eliza rose to face him, her composure barely containing her rage. "I deserve an explanation." "Eliza, Connor hesitated, weighing his words. "What we had mattered to me, but recently, you've been completely absorbed in your career, and that gives you permission to sleep with my sister?" Her voice remained low but vibrated with controlled fury. "I'm not defending my actions. But Vanessa actually listened. She heard things you never did. So you chose my sister. Destroyed my family." Connor's gaze dropped. "It started innocently. But then things escalated. You were always working. Never called." "I was afraid," he admitted with surprising candor. "I couldn't figure out how to tell you. When Vanessa got pregnant, it felt like the decision was made." The squeak of wheels against linoleum announced Vanessa's arrival, pale and diminished in a hospital wheelchair guided by a nurse. Her red-rimmed eyes fixed on her sister. "Eliza." Vanessa's voice was barely audible. Eliza confronted her sister, struggling to maintain composure as grief and fury battled within her chest. "Why, Vanessa? How could you do this?" "I'm so sorry," Vanessa sobbed, her makeup streaking down her pale cheeks. "We really were just friends at first. But Connor listened to me, really listened." "You're my sister," Eliza's voice cracked with raw pain. How could you even consider taking your own sister's husband? You were never there for him, Vanessa protested weakly. Always working, never home. He was so lonely, Eliza. Lonely? A bitter laugh escaped Eliza's lips. I was working 16-hour days for our future. Who do you think paid every bill when Connor's tech startup crashed and burned? Vanessa's eyes widened with shock. She turned to Connor. Your business failed? But you told me you were a successful entrepreneur with investors lined up. Connor shifted uncomfortably, avoiding both women's eyes. I may have embellished certain details. Embellished? Eliza's laugh was razor sharp. His company collapsed completely. I was working 2 design jobs simultaneously to keep us afloat while he chased his next big idea. The color drained from Vanessa's face as she stared at Connor with dawning comprehension. It seems like neither of you really knows who you're getting involved with, Eliza observed wearily. The hospital room door opened as Dr. Parker appeared. Ms. Bennett, we need to get you back to bed. You and the baby need rest. The nurse began wheeling Vanessa away. She twisted in the chair, reaching back toward her sister. Please forgive me, Eliza. Please. Eliza stepped backward. I can't, not right now. Maybe someday, but not today. Vanessa disappeared down the corridor, face crumpling with fresh tears. Diane approached Eliza, lips pressed into a thin line. Eliza, you bear some responsibility here too. Your constant focus on work. Stop right there, Eliza cut her off, eyes flashing. My fault. My husband has an affair with my sister, gets her pregnant, and somehow I'm to blame. Diane fell silent, unable to meet her daughter's gaze. You should have protected me, Eliza whispered as tears finally spilled over. Instead, you helped them betray me. Connor reached for her arm, but she jerked away. Don't touch me. Any further communication goes through my attorney. I'm filing for divorce immediately. With that, Eliza turned and strode toward the hospital exit, shoulders straight despite her shattered world. Something new burned within her, not just pain, but resolve. This devastating end marked the beginning of something else entirely. Spring in Manhattan possessed a vibrancy completely unlike San Diego's perpetual mildness. Seated in a sunlit corner of a boutique cafe near the High Line, Eliza Bennett sketched intently in her leather-bound portfolio. Golden light streaming through the windows highlighted her bare left ring finger as she worked. A year had transformed everything. She'd left Boston behind, launching her own interior design studio in New York. The divorce papers had been finalized 3 months earlier, officially closing that chapter of her life. Mind if I join you? The warm voice pulled her attention upward to find Nathan Parker standing before her, 2 coffee cups in hand. Their collaboration on several architectural projects had gradually evolved into something deeper. Please, Eliza replied, her smile reaching her eyes. Nathan settled opposite her, sliding 1 coffee toward her while peering appreciatively at her drawings. These are brilliant. For the Chelsea loft renovation? Exactly, she nodded, excitement animating her features as she explained her concept. After their professional discussion wound down, Nathan asked with careful consideration, heard anything from your family lately? Eliza paused thoughtfully. My mother called on Sunday, actually. She apologized, something I never thought I'd hear from Diane Bennett. The relationship remained fragile but was gradually healing. Initially, her mother had defended Vanessa and Connor's betrayal, but subsequent events had shifted her perspective dramatically. And Vanessa? Nathan asked gently, knowing the shadow that sometimes crossed Eliza's face when her sister was mentioned. She lost the baby. The stress from that day. Eliza's voice softened. Connor left her shortly after. I heard he's already with someone new in Seattle. Nathan quietly covered her hand with his. The strange thing, Eliza mused, is that Vanessa's in therapy now. My aunt says she's genuinely working to understand her patterns and take responsibility. Perhaps someday we might find our way back to being sisters again. Healing takes its own timeline, Nathan observed. Eliza nodded. I told my mother recently that family isn't defined by blood alone, but by trust and respect. The spring sunshine bathed them in golden light as she took a deep breath. The pain had forged her into someone stronger, someone who recognized her own worth. A life of her own making now stretched before her. There's an architectural exhibition opening at MoMA this weekend, Nathan mentioned. Would you like to go together? I'd love that, Eliza replied with genuine warmth. That evening in her apartment, Eliza found an email from Diane. Attached was a message from Vanessa. I don't expect forgiveness, but I need you to know how deeply sorry I am for betraying you. The pain I caused haunts me daily. I'm working to become someone worthy of being your sister again. I hope you're finding happiness. With love and regret, Vanessa. Eliza brushed away a quiet tear. Forgiveness remained elusive, but not impossible. Perhaps when her heart fully healed, reconciliation might follow. Outside her window, Manhattan's lights sparkled against the night sky, a constellation of new possibilities mirroring the fresh chapter unfolding in her life.